Like, sit down.
Sit your old decrepit ass down.
Old decrepit. I was trying not to say it. Sit your old decrepit ass down somewhere. Get out of their business. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Marthamaysofftopic. It's your co-host, Zyron Speed. We are about to get into a very, very, very heavy topic. But before that, let's welcome our host herself, Miss Martha May. Hey.
Hi. Thank you. That always feels so like heartwarming and very. I feel so welcomed. I mean, obviously it's like our show, but I feel so welcome. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yes, we are about to have a heavy topic. I hope you are ready for this.
Yes, I am.
Okay, you guys, today's topic is Roe versus Wade. And
oof.
What do you feel whenever you hear that? Roe versus Wade, what does that do to you?
So what I hear is, so one of the first things I felt when I so I was at lunch with two sailors. For you guys who haven't heard yet, Zyron and I met in the Navy. So I heard two sailors talking about, I was eating lunch with them and I heard them talking about this thing. I heard them talking about like just kind of dancing around the subject. And then they were talking about other sailors and their responses. And so I was like, what are they talking about? And y'all, I am not politically inclined whatsoever. I feel like I live under a rock a lot of times. Because somebody will share news articles with me, somebody will share political views with me, but I live under a rock. I'm not gonna lie. So this was kind of I was taken aback by it for sure. And then that same weekend, one of my friends asked me, she was like, "How do you feel about the Roe versus Wade thing? It pisses me off, blah blah blah, this and that." And I was like, well, I don't know anything. So then I had to do some research. Then I had to kind of brush myself up on it and figure out. It kind of made me do some self-reflection. I'm not going to lie, because it made me figure out fast that I was like, I live in Texas.
You just moved there less than a year ago.
I was scared. I was fearful because say something happens to me, I'm using all the precaution. I'm, making all the right decisions when I'm being sexually active and the condom breaks. Mm-hmm. Like, let's be real. That shit happens.
Hell, I'm a condom baby. The condom came off for me, so here I am.
Seriously, like that shit happens. So I'm fearful because I don't want kids. Yeah. So something that I am going to have to think about is what I'm going to do in this state that doesn't support me having an abortion. It doesn't support me because I have at least from my friends to relatives to my mom to people who, come into my store, I have a little bit of an inkling of what it takes to take care of a child. And I know for a fact that 1, I'm not patient enough. 2, I don't want to raise a human being in that way. 3, all the fucked up shit that's going on in the world. One of the things that terrifies me most, I would go to jail, okay? I would go to jail if some guy decided to bring a semi-automatic rifle to my kid's school. I would go to jail. Like, I would give up.
When you talk about that, I asked everyone the same three questions. What are your views on the Roe versus Wade law? Has it impacted you or anyone that you know? And what do you have to say to those people taking women's rights away?
Right.
Because you just listed one of the biggest factors that are happening in this world is people are able to go in schools and shoot these damn schools up and get walked out of these schools and get Burger King. Where the fuck they do that at?
Seriously.
But you're forcing people to raise kids and have these kids, but yet we can't even protect these kids. Look at our foster systems. 50 kids go missing a day. Some of these kids don't even have pictures to be turned into the cops or put onto the news. These kids go missing in the foster care, but yet you're going to force people to have kids and they don't want them. So what's going to happen to our foster care systems? They're going to overflow. They're going to keep piling up, keep getting kids. California has 60,000 children in foster care, like 60,000, 437,000 in just the United States.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah. But we're going to keep forcing people to have these kids, which is going to just keep overcrowding these foster care systems that are already terrible. They're not good. They're not doing right by these kids. Yep. I mean, when I was reading that article and those numbers, I was so upset. I was highly upset because, and I'm not a foster kid. Oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine what they go through. Yep. This right here says 24 months, kids experience 5 or more placements. Half the kids in foster care experience 4 or more adverse childhood experiences, like 4 adverse childhood experiences. But we're going to force people to have and keep kids. I want to read a response that I got to those questions.
Okay.
And so, I honestly believe the Roe versus Wade law is complete bullshit. It hasn't really impacted me physically because the states that I reside in is pro-choice. However, it has impacted my emotions for other women who are young, those that are financially unstable for children, those who have been raped, and also the mentally ill women. Not having a say-so for the body you take care of every day doesn't even make sense. So for the ones that are pro-life and do not consider some of the most common factors when it comes to this topic, fuck you, my body, my choice.
I couldn't. Yeah.
Right.
Oh gosh.
We don't even take the financial aspects, I don't think, into consideration. Which, as I was reading articles on that, which we will post, average cost to raise a kid is over $300,000.
Yes, it's funny because a friend of mine and I were talking about her buying a house soon. She said I think she might have gotten pre-approved for $350,000. She was like, that's not enough to buy a house here.
No.
A good house, a decent house, at least a 3-bedroom house, that's not enough. A house.
And a kid, raising a kid is almost that much.
A fucking house.
Think about how these kids, from the ages of 1 to 15, you are continuously growing. Yeah. Growing. Yep. Now, some people slow down. I slowed down about my 10th grade year. I was still having to buy new uniforms and get new clothes and get new shoes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So new things were still being brought upon. But again, why are we forcing people who might not be ready for that or can't afford that or not set up to do that? Yeah. They have to go through that.
Yeah. So I asked one of my coworkers, and she told me that she's not informed enough to have an opinion, but it's my choice and my choice alone. If I'm involved with someone at the time, I tell them, you know, how you were saying, like, you're a man and, you know, ultimately you have a say, but you don't actually have a say. And so she was like, I tell them, but ultimately it's my choice. That topic is so personal that it shouldn't involve anyone else. It shouldn't involve anyone else. Why? Okay.
Just for people to support you, you know, to be there for you and rub your back, not fucking be standing outside screaming, telling you that you're wrong.
Right. Exactly. And so that's like saying people should have a choice someone else should have a choice in what kind of tampons I wear. You know what I mean? What kind of stuff I put in my refrigerator. And granted, there are like certain advertisements and certain things that persuade us to do this or that. But at the end of the day, it's your choice in what you want to do. It's your choice in what you want to do. And maybe that was a terrible example, but I couldn't agree with her more. Like, why should a person who's never met me, never going to meet me probably, why should they have a say on something so personal to my life?
So I like this response. I think it's ignorant for anyone to tell an adult woman what she can or can't do with her body. It's sad and it's barbaric. I have not been impacted directly, but it could easily be me one day. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan or advocate for abortion, but I also know when it comes to another woman's decision, that's none of my business.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
Whether you're so if you're
Let me just say, hold on. As a man, why the hell are you making any comments on what a lady is doing with her body? Why? What exactly do you have to do during a pregnancy? Like, you ain't carrying that damn baby. You ain't eating for two. You're not feeling the emotions and the hormonal, the body changes. Your body's not stretching.
Right.
You don't have to go through I see it. I haven't endured it, and Lord, I don't want to. And I tell you all the time, kudos to women, because y'all go through some shit. Lord, y'all go through some shit.
Yeah.
And I cherish and I appreciate that for y'all, because y'all have true strength. But
Grit.
as a man, you are sitting here telling women, no, this is not right. You should not be doing this. Sit your old ass down. Like, sit down.
Sit your old decrepit ass down.
Old decrepit. I was trying not to say it. Sit your old decrepit ass down somewhere. Get out of their business. Like, somebody, I love him for this. He said, I think abortion should be legal. There's a lot of women who are raped or unknowingly impregnated and can't support that child's life. The American foster care system is flawed beyond repair and not safe for children. So putting children in that leads them down the wrong path. I don't personally have anyone that I know who's had an abortion, but I do know many women who had children with the men they thought would step up and take care of the child, then were left to be a single mom. Men can always take the condom off during sex. They can poke holes in them before, or they can nut her without her permission. Not every person is fit to be a parent when they get pregnant, especially in a minority community. We're all mostly raised by women who had children at a young age and made countless mistakes raising us. So most of us don't get the opportunity to grow up before having a child, end up repeating the same mistakes our children did, and a new generation leading to a cycle that never gets broken. Fuck people that take women's rights. At the end of the day, it's scientifically proven that women go through a lot more hormonal fluctuations. Therefore, nobody that isn't a woman should be able to tell them what they can and can't do.
Period.
Hats off to you, my brother. Hats off to you.
Yes. Thank you for your input. Just as a man, honestly. Just as a man, because that's what we need. that we need more men who are supportive of us having our own rights and having our own choices and being able to say, hey, bro, that's not right. I'm a man too. That's not right. And so thank you. Thank you for that response. Well, first of all, I'd like to cut in real quick and say thank you to everybody who has responded to us and who has kind of interacted with us in order for us to post this episode. Thank you for granting us permission to post on our episode. Thank you. Regardless, if you're pro-life, pro-choice, whatever the case is, I don't care about that. I want your input and I want your perspective and I want, you to feel like your opinion matters. Regardless if it's different than ours, it matters. Because at the end of the day, it might give us perspective. We might give you perspective when you listen to us. And that's what we're here for. So I just wanted to say that.
And again, this is just each person's own opinion, and this is our own opinion.
Right.
And us talking about what is said to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so even the response from, I got a response that was pro-life, and shit, she said that shit so fucking perfectly well, I couldn't even be fucking mad at her. And, I want to hear that. I want to hear what your thought process is on it.
Okay.
And, as he was saying, men shouldn't be saying, or telling anyone what to do, which I 100% agree with. Mm-hmm. And I said that when that shit came out, like, I am team whatever the fuck my friends want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever my female friends want to do, I am team support you. Whatever you need from me, I'm here for you. And that's what it should be. It should not be somebody telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing. Because, okay, if I have this damn baby and I put this baby in foster care, are you going to adopt that kid?
Right.
Are you going to come take care of it?
Yeah.
But why would you put that on me? Why would you put that on her to have to do that? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hot.
I was hot before we started recording. Yes.
What are you feeling so far? Like, we still got more to go into.
I know.
It's up there.
I am really, really anxious or excited to hear this pro-life person.
Okay.
I told you I am. I'm really excited because I'm going to read you one other response that I got. So I had a response from Natasha. Shout out to Natasha. She allowed me to use this pseudonym for her and a dear friend of mine. But she says, I think the government should have left it alone. All they're doing is causing more unnecessary conflict, pretty much staying out of people's lives and uteruses. Why do you need, you know what I mean? Like, why do you feel the need to be all up in my uterus, basically?
Yes.
Yeah. And so
I have a very similar response to that. Ooh.
Yeah, go for it.
Yes, Natasha. Yes. And so I like that she just said, you're causing unnecessary conflict. Like, why?
Seriously.
Why?
Seriously.
Why? This lovely lady said, Roe versus Wade being overturned was a step backwards for women in the fight for bodily autonomy. Mm-hmm. No one should be forced by the government to give birth. Government has no place in a woman's uterus. It has impacted every woman I know of birthing age who doesn't want or isn't ready for children. Mm-hmm. Women are flocking to get sterilized, pumping their bodies full of copious amounts of hormones, and getting uterine implants to further protect themselves. To the people taking away our rights, I say, mind a business that pays you. If you don't want an abortion, then don't have one. And if you're a person who isn't capable of giving birth, then your opinion of a woman's uterus and reproductive choices have nothing at all to do with you. Stay out of our shit.
Seriously. Pay the business that pays you.
Mind your motherfucking business. What I like the part when Kevin Hart was in that mind your goddamn motherfucking business, bitch. Like, yes. Mind your business. Mind it.
Mind it. And it's frustrating because I think this is kind of gonna go into your pro-life answer. So, or the person who responded with pro-life. So there was a woman on television. She was pro-life. Obviously, I live here in Austin, so it's very, apparent. It's very obvious that Texas is a pro-life state. So she was saying that I feel like her intentions were good, but she was basically saying that we need to kind of cut back on the people who are having abortions so that we can kind of move forward with having less abortions in America. And honestly, so she gave a bunch of evidence, and her intentions were good. I actually need to find the clip. I'm gonna find the clip. But it pisses me off because, first of all, she was a woman. And back then these were my feelings. Anyone who's pro-life who's a woman, I'm sure you have your reasons. It pissed me off in those moments because you're a woman. And had you, say you get raped the day after you air that, what are you supposed, and say you got raped the day after you aired that, and then you decided that you didn't want that kid. And so this is diving a little bit deeper into it. Say, for example, you are one ethnicity, and you get raped by another ethnicity that you are not fond of. You're going to have the baby? You're going to have the baby? So now you are not, it doesn't matter that you don't like that ethnicity anymore because your morals tell you that abortion is wrong. So, but your morals also tell you that you don't like that ethnicity. That ethnicity is beneath you. Mm-hmm. So you're just gonna have the baby then. And that's
so. I worked with a girl, and she had a mixed kid, and so this is her story, and that she shared with me. That a little old lady, I'm sure we can put these races together, told her, your parents should be ashamed for bringing you into this world.
Oof. Yikes.
And it's like, what the fuck? Why?
First of all, why would you say that to anybody?
Why would you say that to somebody, Because what do you get from that?
Because I'm an old lady and I don't give a fuck.
Old and decrepit.
Seriously.
But why does that bother you so much?
Yeah.
But it's like you said, you get raped by another race and you don't want that. But now what do you do? What do you going to do now?
And guys, feel free to comment, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, Gmail, whatever it is. Comment.
I'm going to read this response. I'm going to read it real quick.
Yeah.
She said, I don't believe in abortion. I say this because if someone has a heartbeat, they shouldn't be killed, and that someone is a baby. I am pro-life, but with that being said, ectopic pregnancy should be terminated because the baby is not viable, and if it isn't terminated, the mother dies. So in situations like this, I think there should be a right to choose. And I know people use rape and incest as an argument, but that makes up of less than 1% of abortions. The other abortion is people not using the proper channels to prevent pregnancy, i.e. birth control and condoms. Also, the fact that Planned Parenthood was created by a woman that hated Black people So she came up with the idea of abortion so our population does not increase. And it is sad to say that the abortion rate of Black women is 5 times more likely compared to white women, which the founder of Planned Parenthood got what she wanted. All these things I'm saying can be fact checked, by the way. Therefore, my views on abortion is that a choice should only be possible if another life is at stake. It impacted me in a way that my views have shifted due to me looking into things for myself and not listening to others. And I know a lot of women and Black women would disagree, but I urge everyone to look into things themselves and look into how deadly abortions are and the mental problems they create. And it is more deadly for Black women, especially the medical field in general, but I'll save that for another day. They're taking women's rights away to me implies to those trying to take away birth control or other things a woman may need. Other than that, I am very much pro-life.
Okay, that was a lot.
I really want to say this, though, and this is why I don't agree, but I like that she, said what she had to say. I like that she brought up the Black part. Because it's not safe for us or for Black women. I keep saying us. I'm Black. But it's not. Our women die more giving birth than, any other race.
Absolutely. Our women die more doing anything.
Doing anything. And so when she brought that part up, I was like, oh, shit. Like, wow.
I'm going to piggyback off of that with someone very near to me. Well, anyway, very... I'm trying to anyway, whatever. That's for like a exclusive episode. Anyway, so this person really supported me researching, and it's actually in cahoots with what your person said. First of all, to that person, that female, thank you so much for your input, because first of all, I was real anxious. Let me tell you. I was real anxious that you were going to be like this. Anyway.
My bitch is well educated. So
absolutely.
Like when I was reading it, I was like, ooh.
It's very loaded. It's very loaded. And I for that, I'm appreciative.
I'm appreciative of the feedback for sure.
So I want to emphasize that her research found that Planned Parenthood was executed to kind of decrease the number of Black lives. Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong. So the article that was sent to me was the kind of injustice that is abortion, period. So the article, the title, The Racist History of Abortion and Midwifery Bans. So basically it says that it starts with Sojourner Truth's Ain't I a Woman speech. And so it talks about her having kids. It starts with her having kids 13 children born into slavery. So each one of her kids was sold.
My goodness.
So so I'll sum up the article. Basically, it says that midwifery was banned so that it didn't disrupt rich white doctors from practicing giving birth. Like from not giving birth, but delivering babies. So it was saying they view themselves as elite members of a trained profession with tools such as forceps and other technologies and the modern convenience of hospitals, which excluded Black and Indigenous women from practice within their own institutions. So successful racist and misogynistic smear campaigns, cleverly designed for political persuasion and to achieve legal reform, described Black midwives as unhygienic, barbarous, ineffective, non-scientific, dangerous, and unprofessional. So, sadly, it concludes to say, sadly, pregnancy has become a death sentence for many in these very places that make reproductive health care access the most fraught and hard to reach. Many of these states, though not all, are former slave states such as Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Arkansas. As Black people in these states continue to fight for equal access to the reproductive care that they need, Sojourner Truth's 1851 speech continues to resonate. And the Supreme Court demonstrated this week, week that it was overturned, the fight for justice in reproductive health care and equality in abortion success is far from over. It does not advance the equality of poor Black women, which is, I think, a piggyback off of what your person was saying, what the lady was saying. And I agree 100%, because initially abortion is so crazy, because apparently the history of abortion was invented by Benjamin Franklin, a white man.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an article that he wrote a book basically saying how to conduct a at-home abortion so that you didn't have to go to the hospital. So,
and who was this book given to? Because we wasn't allowed to read, so.
Exactly. So, what you were saying before, or I think you put in our notes, that what if you have a miscarriage?
Yes. And so I also like when she brought that up, because the baby is not viable, if it isn't terminated, the mother dies. I actually got an exact response on that. Because that's another thing, is like, shit happens, and it's unfortunate. It's very sad, but it happens. And in these states where y'all not trying to, do abortions, this baby has to come out. It has to come out. And so this response was, Roe versus Wade brings us back into the time that we don't really want to go to. It's like, why are these older white males making decisions when it comes to a woman's reproductive system and reproductive rights? It's not going in a good direction. It has definitely impacted me, because I think about how my sister was suffering a miscarriage, and to think that she would not have the option to even have the rest removed from her body is scary. Sometimes it is medically necessary for a woman to have an abortion in order to save her life. So it's like, are we going to keep a life that hasn't even had a life, or are we going to keep a life of someone that has been living and can still continue to live if they were to have their procedure? I always have a question for people that make these laws. Like, if that was their daughter or their niece or their sister, would they want their family member to endure this unnecessary pain of either having a child that you didn't really want, or having a child that you're forced to keep, or having a child that you were not ready to have at this moment? It's unnecessary for people to endure this. If they don't want to, just like there's rights for everyone else, there needs to be women's rights. Women need to control their own body, not a white older male.
So it's funny, because the person who sent me the article about Benjamin Franklin and the Black midwifery, he said, to sum up American history, 80% of American history has been determined by a white man a white man's choices, whose choices negatively impacted minorities.
I was talking to my neighbor one day, and so we were kind of just having a talk about like race itself. And so we were saying that, it's our office and like our politicians and everybody, they're so much older. And so it sucks, because us younger generations have to, deal with the repercussions of that shit. Mm-hmm. And it's like they teach the young also. The young people are influenced by that, against their will, as the developing mind is happening. If they're taught wrong, then they're taught wrong. They don't know no better.
Right.
But at what point do you educate yourself and do you, realize the decisions that are being made are just not right?
Right.
And again, in this case where it is necessary, because sometimes it is necessary and it's unfortunate, but it is necessary. And so why would we not let that happen? The part where my person said before this last one I just read, when she stated, she was like, that is a baby because it has a heartbeat.
So what about before it has a heartbeat?
Because I want to, isn't it, you have like a certain point to get an abortion.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But also, yeah. So, and the second person, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, in the second person, she said, why would we take a life for a life that hasn't even had a life yet? You know what I mean? Or why would you take the life of someone who hasn't had a life yet? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what I'm trying to say.
No, I get that.
And it's like, why it's... again, not a woman. I don't know what it feels like. I just couldn't imagine seeing any of my people go through that and bring the life that they didn't want. I haven't experienced that into this world, but
so my thought process, and I'm a little bit ignorant, so I'm ignorant to the stages of pregnancy because I don't want kids. Sure, you could argue that I should know the stages of pregnancy, but again, I don't want kids. Therefore, quite frankly, the stages of pregnancy are irrelevant to me. Unless one of my friends gets pregnant and they're telling me they're in their second trimester. I'm like, oh, what the fuck does that mean? And so, what about before the life has a heartbeat?
Right.
What about when... So, for example, when you have sex and you take the plan B afterwards because the condom broke, you know what I mean? Is that technically abortion too? And again, I'm ignorant, whatever. I've only I haven't had very many of these experiences. So are for the pro-life people, are they against taking the plan B as well to prevent the pregnancy? You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Like to prevent the pregnancy from happening, period?
Mm-hmm.
Because in the person's case, she's all for taking precautions, and correct me if I'm wrong, she's all for taking precautions. So, and it all wraps around, it's kind of complicated because, or it becomes complicated because you're for preventative measures, but you're not for executing a life, if that makes sense.
If those preventative measures don't work, because again, a condom can break or they can come off. Sometimes you can be on birth control and still get pregnant. These things can happen. So at what point, is it like, okay, well, I was trying these things, but yes, I still ended up pregnant,
Do I not get the sympathy? Because, right. And it's funny, I was talking to one of my coworkers and he was saying that he was pro-choice, basically. However, to appease people who are pro-life, mainly, government officials, he was saying that there should be a penalty because he personally knows someone who's the mother of someone who was on their 11th child or something like that. So he was saying that there should be a penalty for you coming in within a certain time and needing an abortion for the 5th or 6th time within that span period, within that period. that time period, whatever that time period is. So you're coming in for your 4th or 5th abortion, you need to get your tubes tied. We're not going to send you to jail. We're not going to kill you. We're just going to kind of mandate you or highly recommend you to get your tubes tied. And in doing so, we're going to do it for free, or we're going to do it at a very low cost, or your insurance is going to cover this. If you don't have insurance, we have payment plans. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So I was like, that's super interesting, because that kind of not necessarily appeases both parties of the pro-life and pro-choice. However, it makes it so that we are taking those precautions so that we don't have to terminate those pregnancies anymore.
But it's like, what if her plan just wasn't to have a baby in that moment?
What do you mean?
Like, she didn't got pregnant and she aborted, but she just wasn't in the time frame. Like, what if she's just super fertile? Is that a thing? Could she be super fertile and keep getting pregnant? And she doesn't I get your point of view, or that point of view that you're trying to make. But it's also just shit happens, and she could have been using condoms, and she could have been on birth control, and it's just not working for her. But she just doesn't want kids in this moment. It could be an age thing. Some people be so young.
Okay,
some people be so young, and so what if that's one of the reasons?
Right, so you're saying in this moment, as in, I want kids later.
Yeah, just not right now.
Got you. Yeah, I didn't even think of that when he said it. That's a thing too. What if I've been taking this birth control, it's not working, I tried something else, it's not working, blah, blah, blah. I already have a kid, I got 2 abortions, I'm on my 3rd one, blah, 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 this and that, details. I don't know. I guess that's where we're at, because we're just making abortion illegal. We're just making abortion illegal.
Just don't do this shit. It's what they try to say. Just stop.
Just stop. Just stop pleasing yourself. Stop. Go ahead and buy that dildo that's $100. Go ahead and masturbate a lot, because you're not allowed to have sex with other people. That's just basically, you're not allowed to have sex with other people.
So, somebody that I worked with gave me I used to work with, they gave me their opinion. Mm-hmm. So he said, my opinion, it's hard to say, but I think it's results of radical Christians. The reason the country fails to separate church and state, it has not affected me or anyone I know personally, because most of my friends are military, and the military still allows abortions. I think it should be the woman's choice to make a decision they think is best for them. Even more so if they happen to be raped or some type of non-consensual intercourse. It's hard dealing with that, even harder if they have to bear the child, God forbid.
You should see my face, y'all. Ooh, that was juicy.
It was a short response, but he was straight to the point. Juicy. Shout out to him.
Yes. Shout out to him. Thank you for your response. We really appreciate it. So, Christians, and we need to separate religion from state. We're going to talk about this in another episode, particularly how religion should stay out of schools. However, I was actually conversing with this to my coworker. So one of my coworkers, I said, if religion wasn't involved so much in decisions made by our government, where would we be? Because when people think of atheists or agnostic people, they think the worst. However, if you are making important decisions for your state, for your country, without religious influence at all, wouldn't that mean clarity? Wouldn't that mean less of a feeling and more of a factual or more of a logical decision.
Okay.
Question mark. Okay. So.
Religion itself, boggling always. Right.
It's funny. My ex-stepdad, he always said, pretty sure he was like atheist or agnostic. He always said religion equals division.
It does. But it's like, why are you trying to force that down other people's throats?
Yeah, 100%.
And I feel like when it comes to these abortions, y'all are doing the one thing that you Christians are not supposed to do, which is judging people, and you're judging somebody for a decision. But are you looking in the mirror with your old decrepit ass? Okay.
Yes. We're going to digress from the religion and yes.
Regardless, it's like you doing the one. Christians are so fucking. Yeah. Next. Thank you for that response, though. I really like it. I want to get into our dear friend. She stayed, with the support.
Yes, girl.
Had a really good.
We love you.
To that caption: overturning of Roe versus Wade. She said, "I believe that women's rights are in danger and disturbingly lack support from our own community. The overturning of Roe versus Wade has made the protection and safety of a woman's choice insignificant, and her sexual reproductive system shouldn't be up for questioning, especially be up for questioning from the government. It is a woman's sole business on how she decides she would like to continue with or without a child. The ability to decide such, or whether it is in her best interest to bear a child or receive an abortion, is heavy on her heart and mind already. So who are we to decide what is best for her? Young women and girls have been targeted, objectified, and sexualized, and have been told to keep their mouths shut for too long. There have been instances of rape and incest all over the United States as a collective, and not even under those circumstances, if a woman were to get pregnant, she is not allowed to abort. That is simply cruel and inhumane. I strongly believe that such a decision should not be left for each state to decide a woman's fate, but need to remain a constitutional right for all women. It has not personally affected me yet, but I am afraid for my future in Florida, since they are still on the borderline of whether or not to ban abortion. My heart aches for all the women who have not been able to receive safe and private health care in regards to abortions and have had to take means into their own hands, eventually causing further health complications. They should be able to make decisions on their own without being forced into a lifelong commitment. What I have to say to the U.S. Supreme Court is women deserve abortion rights to be federally protected at all costs. This law should have never been messed with in the beginning, since it has already been in effect for 50 years. It is clear to women and young girls in our country to feel safe and listen to. The Roe versus Wade law needs to be placed back on a constitutional level." I just love her.
I love her. We love you.
We love you. Yeah.
That was very loaded. But I appreciate it. It's not loaded in a bad way. But I want, it goes, so all of the responses that we've received, with the exception of the pro-life, even some things about that response as well. The government should not have a say in what happens between my legs.
Yeah.
People I've never met, people I will never meet.
How about that?
How about you raise? You know what I mean? Like, so the companies and the officials and things like that, heavy influencers, government and otherwise, anybody else who's not me should not have a say in what happens between my legs and what happens inside my body. Because
I also like to think about it whenever you're talking about pay, again, $300,000 to raise a kid. Look how hard it is to get childcare. Like, I know one of my friends in the military, like, she tells me how much fucking childcare is. Y'all don't pay enough for that shit.
Nope.
You don't pay enough.
Nope. Nowhere.
For childcare.
Nowhere.
Like, nowhere. The prices that I hear, oh my goodness. Oof. Whew, I'm gonna take a shot for y'all because that is crazy.
Yeah.
You're not even making enough money. So like this smarter, cheaper option sometimes again. And I like what she said, it's already heavy on a woman's heart and mind. That is a decision that has to be made and has to be slept with. Like, I'm sure it's not easy for anyone.
Even after you do it.
Yeah.
After you do it, so I have friends I know people who have had to get abortions because for whatever reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's already weighing heavy on their minds prior to having it, let alone after having it. Can you imagine the emotional turmoil that a person has to go, like a female has to go through after she's aborted a kid? But
a kid, yeah.
So after,
but it's like, imagine that part, but also carrying this baby, not wanting this baby, wishing you would have did this. Mm-hmm. Then the baby gets here.
Yeah.
Carrying this baby, having all this remorse, all this stress. The baby gets here, and you resent them because some parents resent having kids because of who they had it by or circumstances. And so the better option, which is still unfortunate, it's unfortunate both ways, either way it go, is to, let go of the life that hasn't even had a life yet. What's hurting them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe just ignorant to that. And again, I'm just here to support whoever I need to support when it comes to this. But I am very much, I'm going to support whatever my friends decide to do. And I've had friends who've had so many beautiful babies that are in my life, and I love them. And I have a few that, had to do things because of, fucking circumstances. And that was their fucking choice. Right. And again, all I can say is I'm here for whatever you need me to do. You need some ice cream. You just need a shoulder to cry on. And again, it's not an easy decision. And so,
yeah, it's very personal. It's not that women just want to abort.
Yeah.
It's that we have to make decisions that are, because for me personally, if I were to have a kid, how I mentioned having kind of an inkling of what it would take to have a kid, I'm not thinking about right now. I'm thinking about 38 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
That $300,000, that's going to turn into $600,000. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about the school shootings. I'm thinking about where how our world is turning into shit. I'm thinking about how,
how can we
I don't even want to
abortion so quick, but yet gun laws, y'all fucking confused and don't know what the fuck to do with that. But these motherfuckers, imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine you not wanting to have this kid, but you can't have an abortion. Lord forbid this happens to somebody. But imagine not wanting to have that damn kid. You have that kid goes to school one day and gets fucking killed.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I have one more response. My love said, I disagree with the new law. It hasn't impacted me personally or anyone that I know, but I read the articles and pay attention to who it does have an effect on. And frankly, for the law is unfair towards women specifically. How can you tell someone they are not in control of their anatomy? Organ donors choose to give up their body parts, so what the fuck is the difference of a woman wanting to choose to have or not have a child? Women go through so much during pregnancy and postpartum that a man could never understand. It's not just mood swings for some women. Carrying a child is high risk. Carrying a child can mean death for them or their child. Just so many factors that go into forcing a woman to have a child that she may not want, and it's completely unfair to pass such a reckless law. The fact that majority of the voters for this law were white males and over the age of 55 just doesn't sit right with me. And don't get me started on the women that voted for this bullshit law. Like, shit just sweet. Fuck them and the voice they used to put out their bullshit opinion. I said, ooh.
Right. Ooh, okay.
Again, because we see who runs this motherfucking country and who's in office, I feel like the shit needs to stop. Y'all need to let people live their lives and live their lives freely. This is not the fucking 1800s. This is not the 1900s. America is so far behind on how to treat its people, it makes no fucking sense.
It doesn't. And it's so crazy that we're taking in so many people. Mm-hmm. And I get that with all its faults, I understand that we have a lot of freedoms that a lot of other places don't.
Right.
You know, I understand that 100%. I've been in impoverished areas, impoverished countries. I've been, wherever. And I get it. People have this image of America that is what it is, but at the end of the day, we've taken a few steps backwards. We've taken several steps backwards. Mm-hmm. Right. And again, I have the sense of no one should have control over what happens to my body and my body but me.
So my questions to you are, and I want to ask you each one, what are your views on the Roe versus Wade law? Mm-hmm. Has it impacted you or anyone that you know? What do you have to say to those people taking women's rights away?
How do you take your wife's rights away? How do you take your daughter's rights away? Mm-hmm. How do you take your future granddaughter's rights away? How do you live with that? No, I don't know anyone who's been personally affected. Mm-hmm. I have not been personally affected. However, I could be. Yeah. I could be affected. Someone I know personally could be affected. So how I feel about the law, it should be up to the individual person what they want to do with their bodies. It shouldn't be up to someone who has never met me, who has never been in my situation, who's probably making like 10 times more than me, who's doesn't have the same organs as me, isn't even of the same species as me. So my views on the Roe versus Wade is we are going backwards. Are we trying to make this country better and going backwards and taking people's rights away? That is not fair. Look at life, is what I would say. Like you said, how are you taking the rights of your loved ones away? You never know what can happen to a person. You don't know how things affect people. So who are you to take somebody's rights away? You don't know anyone that is impacted. I only talk to my female friends and be in support. Like I said, I've also saw like videos and TikToks and things that affect people, and it's kind of fucked up. It's pretty sad. All I have to say is really open your fucking eyes and realize this is not the 1800s. This is not the 1900s. We don't have to keep taking these steps backwards. Let's not do that. Let people have their fucking freedom. If this is the land of the free, let people be free. Especially women. That's all. Well, first of all, I appreciate you kind of being in support of females and realizing
y'all go through some shit, man.
Realizing that it takes for you to do some real self-reflection and have some real fucking balls in order for you to empathize with someone different from you. So, yeah, I appreciate that. I'm so glad you're my friend.
Hey.
So.
Yes.
thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was a long one.
Yeah.
Bear with us.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Send me some Gmails if you want to. Make sure you review. Hit that review button. God damn it. Hit it. Hit it. Give us 5 stars.
We're going to give y'all a lighter episode soon, okay? We're gonna recover from this one because we know it's heavy. It's a little bit heavy. And thank you all for your responses for this topic as well, because I know it was a heavier one. So thank y'all.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Please tune in to the next episode. We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.